Hey guys, how are you today? It
Ah!
is it is your pretty much monthly how to be an artist creator profile here in the Facebook group, and if you watch this as the replay on YouTube. And I'm very fortunate today to have two lovely ladies who are the creators of Kickin' the Creatives. And I want to give you a little background on them and before they get to jump in and say hi and kind of introduce themselves too. So Kickin' the Creatives helps artists like you guys and writers build a creative practice and build that habit so that you can make regularly and have it integrated into your lives. And they do this through offering all kinds of different challenges every month, which we'll get into in a minute too. So, but also they are practicing creatives themselves. Sandra.busby is a still life artist, and you definitely need to check out her website. She's got this lovely realist work which has a lot of reflections in it. That's really, really beautiful. So I think a lot of you will really connect with that, because I know a lot of you in here do aspire to be realist in your artistic endeavors. And then we also have Tara Roskell, and she's a graphic designer who has actually a creator of a blog that's called The Idea Medic, which we'll have to hear about. And then she's got a design website as well. So we're going to talk to them about their art as well as their larger community, Kickin' the Creatives. So thank you, Tara and Sandra, for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having us.
It's so great to have you both. This is actually their first Facebook Live, so make sure you guys give them all a big shout out.
I'm really nervous as well because I don't know. I've never done this before, and no, my luck, I'll get a delivery or something in a minute. I'll disappear. You know why?
I usually have my dog bark at the most inopportune moments, so he'll be fine. And then the other thing that's new is this is the first time I'm interviewing two people at once, so that's kind of exciting too. So we'll see how this goes, ladies. But can you guys tell us more about Kickin' the Creatives?
Yeah, as you said, it's to help people build a creative habit. But what we wanted was this platform where you could see all the big challenges, you know, like the 100-day project, what's Ink one called? It's now slipped my mind. What's the Ink one? Inktober.
Oh, Inktober, yeah.
Yeah. So all the big challenges, but then we're also going to create some challenges of our own. And the idea was we'd change them each month. So you'd get a real taster of all different things. You get to try different things out.
Yeah, that's
great. I think it takes away the expectation that people sort of often when they're trying new things, they've got too much of an expectation of the result. And I think a lot of our exercises actually force you to be bad. You don't have a choice. So for instance, it's like the continuous line drawings or the left-handed drawings and things like that. They're not going to be good. So it kind of frees you up. But also there's an actual point to all of the exercises. They're not just, I mean, they are really good fun, but they're not just fun. They are actually really, really useful in improving your drawing because they exercise your creative side of the brain. So, but it sort of takes that fear of showing your stuff because obviously, you know, everyone's assuming it's not going to be great because of some of the stuff we're trying to teach.
Yeah. Do most of your challenges have like a daily commitment, or are they weekly?
Well, we have 4 challenges a month. We have a quick kicks challenge, which is ideal for people that don't have a lot of time because generally they can be done in under 15 minutes a day. So that'll be maybe, I don't know, like the continuous line drawings and things like that, those sort of main exercises, the fundamental things. We also have a monthly long challenge, which is more for people that want to get their teeth into something big over the period of a month. Tara, we also have another couple, don't we, a month?
Yeah, and we'll switch those up. So, for example, this month we've got an abstract art challenge. Last month it was a 5-minute march challenge. So they will vary. We've also got a poetry one. So we're not sticking totally to art, but there is a lot of art there. But really trying to mix it up, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of overlap for people who like to make art and paint and those who like to write. So I can see why that would kind of work well together. And even so, even if someone's a writer and someone else is a painter, there's still that community and showing up together and saying we're here for our kind of art.
Yeah, we had some collaborations sort of happen like that as well. So we'd have a person who'd wrote a poem and then another person going in, oh, that's inspired me to create this drawing, which is lovely. You know, all out of something that wasn't there before.
Yeah, great. That's great.
Yeah.
So how did you two get connected? Tell us your story.
Oh, who's taking this one?
Well, Tara heard me being interviewed on the Your Creative Push podcast. Anyone who hasn't been and checked that podcast out, it's a really good one. And yeah, so Mike asked me to be on there and I was on there and Tara just happened to be on his Facebook group. Is that right, Tara?
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
And then I had a message from Tara, who had her own podcast at the time called The Idea Medic, and she asked me if I'd like to go on and be a guest on hers. And I did, and we just kind of just hit it off straight away. It was really strange because I was terrified. I didn't really want to do it, but I kind of did. But I was absolutely terrified, and it was kind of just like talking to a friend. And it was just a connection, wasn't it, Tara? And I think we just carried on talking for about an hour or so after the podcast had ended. And then we just kept in contact via text and became real friends, genuine friends. And then we ended up, I think I ended up co-hosting a couple of your podcasts, didn't I?
Yeah, because I think I suggested that you should have your own podcast because you wouldn't have known she was scared because she didn't stop talking. So I said, why don't you have your own? And she said, oh no, I'd consider co-hosting. And I'd never even thought about doing that. I've always just thought about doing interviewing. Because basically I was too scared as well. So we ended up doing this thing we were both scared to doing together. Yeah. Which was fun.
That's wonderful.
I still would not do a solo one.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't. No, I definitely wouldn't.
I love that you're both living an example too of how we take risks with our creativity and in different ways. Like that's part of the creative process is that, it's not just about making the art. It's also how we share and show up in the world with the work we do. And I think that's wonderful that you both are showing the risk taking that you both have taken as well, in addition to offering these opportunities to your community. That's very cool.
I think it's important to say yes sometimes because I used to fear it. I mean, when Mike Young from the YPC podcast asked me to go on, I straight away thought, no way, I'm not going to do that. And then my husband said to me, well, why? Why not? And I thought, oh, well, perhaps I will. And I think when you say yes to things happen and progress. And if you keep fearing, being frightened, then you're never going to get very far.
No, it does open doors. It definitely opens doors, I think.
Absolutely. I love the question, why not? When we hear that immediate no or resistance, what a simple thing to ask ourselves to double check, is this really a no, or is this a fear-based decision that I'm trying to make right now? I think that's a great, great tip.
I think when you get older as well, you're more open to doing things. I'd have been more likely to say no, I think, when I was younger, but then you think, oh, why not? Like you say.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you guys have talked a bit about this already, but I'd love to kind of dig in a little more deeply. How do you, what are your aims for your community? What do you hope that people get out of participating in Kicking the Creatives?
Well, I think one of the things is obviously to make art regularly, whether that's art as in writing or visual arts or whatever it is. But also we want people to create friendships within there because I don't know, I think it's because art generally you do on your own. It's quite a lonely sort of pastime. And although you want to be on your own probably doing that, you also want people to talk about it. I mean, personally, I didn't know many people who were arty near me. And so it's sort of building that community, and we can see friendships forming already in there. It's really, really lovely like that.
Yeah, I think it's offering a place like our Facebook group. I mean, obviously it's a private Facebook group, so nobody outside of the group can see anything anyone posts, and we've got people who are complete and utter beginners who've never drawn before, who've joined us, right the way up to really, really accomplished artists, and everyone encourage everyone else. There's nobody who's judging anyone. I mean, at the end of the day, we all start at exactly the same place. We all start not being able to draw, at least thinking we can't draw. We all start at the place where we don't know the fundaments. And it's interesting because some people I look at on the group and they're saying, oh, this is terrible, and I think actually it's not. You think it is, but what you were doing 3 months ago on the group, you've really improved, you've really progressed. And also I was there once, and I'm still always trying to improve, but I think the biggest piece of advice is just not to be afraid of being bad, because if you're afraid of being bad, then you're never going to get over that hurdle and get good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a place, isn't it, Tara, where basically everyone feels a little bit accountable as well, I think.
Yeah, I think I've noticed as well in the group that people aren't afraid. They've actually said this. Since I've been in the group, I'm not afraid to share. I'll even share if I do a bad piece because I've done it, whereas I wouldn't have done it otherwise. And that bad piece might be a step towards a good piece. So, I mean, I really like that. The fact that someone will share something that they don't like that much. And actually, sometimes everybody else really likes that piece more than perhaps the piece they love.
Yeah. So. And actually, I think often social media can be a place where you kind of, most artists only share their good stuff because that's quite natural. But it's important to realise when you're looking through social media that actually that artist is not necessarily going to share the stuff that led up to it that wasn't so good.
Exactly. It's a curated space.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's, self-editing and all that. But in our group, I say I don't share everything. And you don't have to share everything, but if you do, and it is, something you particularly hate, then it's a place where people will just egg you on and say, "Don't worry about it." Now that's a lesson. Now you can move on and create something even better, and that's how you get better.
Exactly. And how many times, as Tara mentioned, are there pieces that we judge ourselves that actually people see value in and maybe a little tweaking, or maybe it's actually fine just as it is, but we can be so self-critical that we don't give ourselves space to even be receptive to the idea that we could be good at this, but maybe our idea of where we should be with our art or skill level is in the way of what we're doing right now that actually still has merit too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even understand sometimes when I post things myself on Instagram and you'll post something, you think, I like this one, I'm quite pleased. And you get, it's just like nothing. It's tumbleweed. And you post this thing, you think, I don't know whether to post this or not. And you post it, and you get all these likes and comments. It's like, what's going on?
We're not always our own best judges, are we?
Yeah, completely. I completely agree. So I'm curious, in part because I also have a community space and also kind of have my own artist life and practice or kind of separate side project. How do you guys kind of navigate your personal art practices with Kicking the Creatives?
Oh, it's really difficult. I think, especially for me, because I'm a painter. I'm a still life painter and I do lots of detailed work and that's generally what I do. But in a way, it's worked really well for me because it's very easy when you've sort of done all the drawing stuff and you get onto your painting stuff to just focus on that. And then you kind of almost neglect those fundamentals and you can kind of feel a bit rusty then. And one thing I was feeling really rusty about was sketching. And I've become a bit of a, what's the word, Tara? Perfectionist, maybe? A bit OCD. And I'll overwork a sketch and I'm very good at that because I think partly because I love drawing and I kind of don't want the process to end, but partly that sort of fear of it not being very good. So it's actually forced me to go back to that because I can't preach, what I'm not practicing at the end of the day. So it's kind of, I think it's brought the fun back to it as well for me. So yeah, it's very, very hard work to fit it all in, but I think it's so worth it for me.
So what was that daring thing you did the other day, Sandra, that you told me about?
Oh, I know. I scribbled a phone number in my sketchbook.
That is unheard of.
I know. It's reckless. It's liberating. But we always say it, don't worry about a sketchbook. It's fine. And then there's me going, oh no, there's a smudge. And I'm just so I'm a bit like that. But it's really good for us as well. And we're not pretending in any way in the group that we know everything and we can knock up a sketch in 2 minutes and it's fine. And we're not pretending to be anything like that, are we, Tara? We're kind of with everyone in there. We've all got our own personal struggles, and that's actually one of mine. Whereas Tara, you're complete opposite, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I like doing a sketch in 2 minutes. I have to say, I love doing quick sketches and stuff like that. And I think for me, Kicking the Creatives brought back my love of drawing because I became a graphic designer. Oh God, I'm not even going to say how many years ago, but
before electric.
Just computers were about, but it was from doing that, I just didn't want to draw anymore. So I might design characters and stuff like that and computerize them type stuff, but I wouldn't just sit with a sketchbook and do, draw something in front of me, or it just wouldn't happen. And us starting to do this stuff together, really has got me drawing it, and it actually felt alien at first to try and draw by hand with a pencil. It was like you forget, oh yes, I have to measure something. It was so bizarre, but yeah, it's really got me drawing again and got me loving it, which if you'd have said that to me 2 years ago, I'd have said I'll never get back that passion again. So it's done that for me.
And I think that was down to doing some challenges of our own together as friends before we started Kicking the Creative. I think that's what really sort of got us to have the idea of doing it in the first place, because I was obviously an artist who didn't sketch nearly enough. Tara was a graphic designer who had lost her love for sketching and drawing manually. And we kind of decided to do this challenge, didn't we, Tara?
Yeah.
And it was basically an experiment on whether alcohol increases creativity. Experiment. And just that one thing we did, it really ignited something in you, Tara, didn't it?
Yeah, headache.
Yeah, definitely a headache. But that was kind of like the catalyst, I think, to everything, wasn't it? And and I think that's when you thought, no, I really feel like I'm enjoying this again. And you've been hooked ever since, haven't you?
Yeah, I have to have a Prosecco, though, every time I draw now. It's like...
That's a high-grade problem.
Now you don't like doing the graphic stuff, do you?
No, I don't. No, I really don't.
And I can't anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh, ladies, thank you for sharing this, because something that is really like something I feel passionate about, and I really want people in this community to hear and start to kind of feel themselves, is that art can have a different role in our lives for every single person. And it's really down to what you want your art to be for yourself, and trying to be self-aware instead of hearing these shoulds or looking at these curated Instagrams, feeling like our art should look a certain way, or we have to use our art for a certain purpose. I really want people to see that if art calls them to create, full stop. That's all you need to know. And there's so much like societal pressure and communication that art's only valuable if you sell it or if you do certain things with it. And I really want people to kick those things to the curb and really be able to celebrate their practice, which is one reason I was very excited to have you both here today, because it feels like your community is aligned with that kind of mission as well.
I think people have this thing about selling and things like that, and that's all very well. But to be honest, the most valuable part, I think, of creating is what your, children and grandchildren are going to find in your loft one day when you're not around, and all these silly little sketchbooks, and little whimsical drawings. I mean, what a treasure to find something like that. It's not about selling necessarily, and also. Another thing we come across a lot in our Facebook group is people thinking they might be too old to start. And really, genuinely, is never, ever too old to start. I mean, I didn't start drawing seriously at all until I was kind of, early 30s, I suppose. And I mean, there's people in our group starting in their 50s, and the improvement's really quite quick. It just depends how focused you are and how much you want it. But age isn't an issue at all, not ever.
And I think people go on about this like mindfulness, don't they? So much of that. But drawing, I think, can almost be another form of that, because when you're doing that, you are in the drawing. You're not thinking about other things. And a lot of people in our group, I know they draw partly to help maintain their sanity, I guess, almost. It's like to calm their brain almost. And also to get over some things that, some quite traumatic things people are drawing for as well.
Yeah, it is. I completely agree that it is a form of meditation. It's all about finding ways to get into a flow state, which is something that helps us relax and kind of feel connected to something larger than ourselves. And I don't know, I don't think there's anything more valuable than that, really. Very cool. So kind of in line with all of this, what's advice that you guys wish you had when you first started making art?
Sandra, do you want to kick off?
Use your sketchbook. And use it every day, and don't be afraid to create bad art. Just move on to the next one. I think when I started sketching, I was just always, if I did a good sketch, then I felt that I was really happy. And then if I did a bad sketch, I would not sketch for 3 weeks because the last one was bad. But you just have to treat it as a lesson and move on, and just ignore it. It's all a process, and not everything's going to be good. But I do wish that I had got really into sketching a lot quicker and not been so frightened to do things quickly and not necessarily very good. It doesn't matter. It's just about the fact you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that someone had said to me that think about what you actually like about your art. What is it you like doing? Because I feel like I got led down the wrong path to graphic design. And I think even if you're not going to do it as a career, what do you actually like about it? Don't let someone say to you, oh, do pet portraits because you're really good at pet portraits, if you absolutely detest doing pet portraits. If you love doing these tiny little flowers, do the tiny little flowers. And only by exploring that are you actually going to know what you really want to do. And I really wish someone said to me, well, you're not really type-based. You really like drawing. So you should be doing something to do with drawing. So, yeah, I definitely think explore what you love and what hopefully you're good at the same time.
Yeah, do what comes naturally to you. But also in the first few months, assume that a lot of what you do is going to be bad because it will be. You're learning at the end of the day. So it's just patience.
Yeah. Yeah. When we got on the bike for the first time, most people needed training wheels or some extra guidance to make sure they didn't fall, or they fell a lot on their own trying to make it happen. And for some reason, when you pick up a pencil or a paintbrush, somehow we have this expectation that we shouldn't have those same bumps in the road.
Oh.
Yeah. Can you guys talk about your creative spaces? Where do you make? What does it look like?
Oh, I didn't show you mine. It's so messy. It's like, quick. I'm not showing it for very long. There you go. So I'm in my office basically. That obviously my computer I use for my design work, but to the side of me I've got a table that's completely covered in stuff at the moment because I'm doing one of our challenges. So I thought, I'm just going to leave it out there. So everything then, if you leave some stuff out, there's no excuse not to make something. So yeah, over the side of me, I've got this bit of desk covered over, but then also I sometimes sit in a lounge. There's something nice about sitting with a sketchbook on your lap and just drawing like that. I think some of my better stuff comes out like that.
Well, my art studio is kind of what I'm in it at the moment. But if I try and turn you around and show you, all of my lights are going to fall over. So but basically, this area behind me here is my painting area, as you can see. And over there is my drawing table, and that is where I do a lot of the sort of work for Kicking the Creatives, my overhead video shots for our videos that we do. And yeah, I've got the sink over there, my easel there. So I wish I could show you, but I can't. But it's just I was very lucky because my husband actually he didn't build the studio, but he converted the garage we had outside into my studio, and it really helps because obviously, like Tara said, if you've got a place where you can just leave your stuff out, then it's so much easier to start creating. So.
Yeah, it's harder.
Even if you don't have a studio, it doesn't matter. Even if you can find like a wheelie trolley or something or anything that you can just put in the corner of your house, you can just pull out and it's just all on it. That's a really good tip.
You're on a wheelie trolley, aren't you, at the moment, Sandra?
My computer is on a wheelie trolley.
Well, hey, there's different tools that we need in different places. If your computer needs to go on a trolley, why not?
Well, it has to be today. This is because me and Tara and I earlier were trying to set this thing up to work. My computer's not normally in here. It's normally actually indoors. But I had to put it in here, and I had to put it in a space where the light was okay. So, yeah, that's why it's on a trolley at the moment.
I really like the idea of making sure that we have our art tools accessible and kind of easily available, because it does limit the excuses. I've heard that as well for people who are trying to like get a new habit of going to the gym, for example. I've heard people recommend that you go to sleep in your gym clothes so that you wake up and you're like ready to go if you're really struggling, kind of thing. So why couldn't we put out our supplies in some corner? Or I think the trolley is a great idea for people who don't have a studio, because then you can have everything still ready to go and you just pick out your paper or sketchbook or wherever you're working, and all your tools are right there for you. I think that's great.
I think even if you can't do that, just having a sketchbook. I mean, I sit at night with a little coffee table and I've always got a sketchbook sitting on there. So just if you suddenly think of something, you can just scribble it out. Even doodle, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, that's great too. And thinking of scale, right? Size of work. You don't have to work super large if that doesn't suit your lifestyle. Why can't you have a sketchbook or small canvases to work with? We sometimes, I think, again, the idea of what we should be doing with our art and how we define art can limit ourselves. It creates limiting beliefs around whether we can actually make space or time to make.
I think it's important as well not to make it complicated. If you find it hard to sketch and get the time to sketch, just have a biro and a sketchbook. Don't even bother with paints. You can colour things in later. Mm-hmm. If you just have your favourite pen and a small sketchbook, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, we did that 5-minute challenge, didn't we, recently? Mm-hmm. I totally love this stuff. Just put your phone on 5 minutes, hit the timer, draw as much as you can, pick something fairly simple, and and then you've got a drawing, and you can say you've drawn every day, and they will improve vastly if you do that for a month.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love this. Amen. Okay, so what's something that each of you are working on now?
Oh, go for it, Sandra.
Well, I'm not working on anything right now because I've only just finished. This is actually the kind of thing I normally do. So this is a painting. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yep.
So that's my latest still life that is out at the moment because I'm about to take it after this to printers to get some prints made. So I do a lot of things like that. Promise you, I'm not an alcoholic. It seems like I am. So there's this one. And I do other things. I do a lot of marbles as well, but I haven't got any marbles because they've all sold. But I do have a lighter side, so my egg and things like that. So yeah, I'm just trying to decide what to paint next as we speak. But I've got nothing on the go right now.
Yeah, and I'm doing an abstract challenge. So I've never really done abstract before. So I don't know if you can see these if I'm too close. So I'm trying. Here's a couple I've done. Yeah. Face there. Yeah. And there's another one here.
Oh, I like that one.
Very different. So this one's about filling your head with rubbish. So it's filled with newspapers, how you get depressed by watching too much news.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I like that because it's the daily thing really sort of urges me on, I think, knowing there's that accountability there. Definitely works for me.
That's great. So I have kind of a tough question to end our conversation with today, because I know the word artist can mean many different things to different people. But so what does it mean to you to be an artist or a creative?
I
think I have to do it in order to get the ideas out of my head. So it's not a case of whether I want to be an artist. It's I have these ideas. They need to come out in some form or other. So even when I wasn't drawing by hand as such, I would still sit and scribble down an idea for something that I would then digitize in some way, do digitally. So yeah, for me, it's something you have to do just because it's in there and it needs to come out.
And I can't imagine life without being an artist. I mean, first of all, it's a way to rest my brain. I've got one of these brains that's full on all of the time. You'd never guess. A million a month, random rubbish stuff going around in my head. And apart from scuba diving, which is the only other thing I found that makes me completely absorb in one thing, drawing is it. Painting and drawing helps me to do that. So a bit like meditation, I suppose. I really enjoy the puzzle of painting. I love that sort of trying to overcome problems and, why isn't this working, and then being able to work it out. I like all that. And I think it's a life outside of the normal day-to-day things that we all have to do, as normal people, working, shopping, cooking, cleaning, all the normal stuff. It's kind of like, I feel like it's become part of my identity, I suppose, now. It's just, I couldn't do without art these days.
Beautiful. Thank you both so much for sharing this. And for everyone watching, we'll make sure that you have all the links to all their stuff, Kick in the Creatives, their personal websites, their Instagrams. I think, Tara, you're on Instagram. Sandra, are you on Instagram too?
I am. Yep.
Okay,
Sandra.busby, I think. Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure all that's linked up after we're done here live. And of course, as always, I love hearing from you guys. What's a big takeaway? What's something that really resonated with you in this conversation today? We'd love to hear from you. Tell us about it in the comments below, and give them a wave. Give them a shout out for having an amazing first Facebook Live. Well done, ladies. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you very much. Great to talk to you.
So, guys,
I didn't get a delivery either.
So thank you guys again, everyone, for being part of our Creator Profile, How to Be an Artist series. And we'll see you again sometime soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.